I look good. No one's gonna be behind me. It's just gonna be me. Oh my god, hi. If you go to my channel and see when my last video was posted, you may notice that it's from March. And I was very excited when I started my channel and when I did my first 3 videos. And then I just stopped making videos. And I think it's time to take accountability. Learn that one in therapy. I made a list of everything I've been doing instead of making videos for this channel and talking about the books I'm reading. Number one, aside from collecting books, I also like collecting perfume. And at the beginning of this year, I actually said that I was going to spend less money on perfume. Yeah. Anyways, I've also fallen victim to Pop Mart. I have yet to get my hands on a Labubu, and I think at this point I've given up because I've bought, I want to say 6 different little toys. And don't get me wrong, it's fun to unbox them, but I just shouldn't be spending my money on that. I should be reading instead. I've also spent my money on books. In my defense for that one specifically, I did get gift cards in February for my birthday. So I wasn't entirely spending all of my money. And then the books that I did spend my coin on were for a couple of book clubs that I'm in. So I did end up reading most of the books that I bought for those book clubs. Aside from that, I've also been traveling. For work, I went to Washington, D.C. for an art installation at the National Mall. The installation was centered around quilts that were made by trans youth and individuals around the country. And it really centered around trans visibility and the freedom to be yourself, which is crazy with everything going on in the country right now. I also went to San Diego for fun to celebrate my brother's graduation. I brought books to both of those trips. Ask me how many pages I read. None. At least the books got to travel as well, you know? You gotta bring your babies and let them see the world, even if you don't read them. And also, I started a fashion design certificate at my local community college. Listen, if the world's gonna end and we're gonna burn to ashes, I should at least do what I want to do, right? And I should spend my money learning how to do fun stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I have been in a little bit of a reading slump. When it comes to my yearly goal, according to Goodreads, I'm only 3 books behind. But I said in my first video that this is the year of doing for me, and I really want to stay true to that. So here's a video of everything I've read since March, the last time I got in front of my camera to talk about the books I'm reading. Great. I guess I should start off by showing you the stack. These are all the books. Oh my god, should I do my thumbnail right now? Hold up. Back in March, I posted a video where I did a 24-hour readathon. The first book I finished in that readathon was Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I know she has other really popular books, but I've only ever read this from her. I would say that it's good. The premise of the book is this woman wakes up one morning. She's getting ready to go to work. She is just coming back to her job as a book editor after being on maternity leave. She goes and drops off her daughter at the daycare. She didn't see her husband in the morning, and when she gets to work, the news is on, and she sees that there's a big heist, and there are people sequestered in a building in downtown London. London. Yes, I think London. I don't remember. It's somewhere where they have a British accent. She's like, oh my god, that's crazy that that's happening. But she's texting her husband. He's not answering. Out of nowhere, cops show up. They're like, hey, are you so and so? And she's like, yeah, that's me. Turns out the person that sequestered the people in the building and is running the heist is her husband. It's crazy. I feel like I can't say anything else about the plot because it would spoil some of the book. I did enjoy the book. It was really well written. However, this being my first suspenseful mystery read kind of made me realize that when it comes to mystery and suspense, sometimes the plots get outworldly, and then you're thinking to yourself, like, this would never happen in real life. I know that I don't read fiction to be like, oh my gosh, that would never happen in real life, but it felt like that a little bit with this book. There was a lot of plot towards the end that was like, oh, this only worked because all of this fell into place, and it felt a little too good to be true. However, I enjoyed it. If you like true crime and you don't mind things happening that wouldn't necessarily happen in real life, you'll enjoy this. But if you're gonna read this thinking that you're gonna get a true crime that's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that would totally happen, maybe don't read this. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. It was great, and Gillian McAllister is a great writer. I might read some more stuff from her. I enjoyed it enough to want to read more. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read during that readathon was Imago by Octavia Butler, and now I want to read everything she writes. This was the last book in the Lilith trilogy. In the first book, we find out that the world ended, Earth is deserted, and some aliens came and rescued the remaining humans and put them to sleep. They wake up Lilith and they're like,
you're gonna help us repopulate the Earth, and you're gonna do it how we tell you.
Then Lilith is like, no, I don't want to do that. And they're like,
okay, that sucks that you don't want to help us, because if you don't, it's the end of mankind. So You should help us.
And she's like, okay, fine, I'll help y'all. In the second book, Lilith has children. And the way that they have children is they have to procreate with the aliens. It's really complex. I made a video about the first two books in that trilogy. You can go and watch it. I'll link it down below. At the end of the second book, they finally start bringing people on Earth because Earth was like so messed up because humans messed everything up. This takes place, I think, like a few years after they finally come to Earth. They're having issues because the Oankali, which are the aliens that saved humans from themselves 2 books ago, are like, hey, you're gonna do exactly everything we tell you to do. And then you kind of find out like, oh, maybe they're not the good guys. Actually, they have like an ulterior motive. This wraps up the entire trilogy. Was that the best explanation I could give you? No. Just know that this book is 5 out of 5 stars. If you like science fiction, if you like The Hunger Games, if you like books that are gonna make you feel weird about humanity and make you question, oh my gosh, am I actually like rooting for the right person? Read this trilogy. It's amazing. I love it. Octavia Butler, may she rest in power. Thank you so much for like putting this out into the world. I also finished The Lantern of Lost Memories. This is a beautiful short read. The premise of this is that when people die, they go to this little shop before they're able to like walk towards the light and like they're done, they're dead. And they have to make a little like presentation and they choose pictures, one for each year they were alive. They have to like leave it behind and then they finally die. It's 100% fantasy, obviously, but it is so well written and it's such a good deep dive into each of the characters that make up this book. I read it in one sitting and it was just really well written. I read it at a coffee shop, so I felt like really cute. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cute book. Honestly, I give this a 5 out of 5 stars. If you like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I personally couldn't get through that book. Like, it was just not my vibe. But I can see, like, if you like that book, you'll enjoy this. All right, this next book, I'm going to be so honest with y'all. I really, really wanted to like it. And I'm going to be even more vulnerable and tell you guys that I wanted to like it because it was the winner of the Booker Prize last year. And I just wanted to give into that propaganda. And I did not love it. Orbital by Samantha Harvey. It's not that it wasn't well written. You know your way around a page, Samantha Harvey. She's not gonna watch this. But I'm gonna talk to her like if she is. You are a great writer. I just didn't like the plot. Just also had a hard time following the timeline of this book. In the beginning, at the beginning of the book, they show you a map of. Let me see if I can show it to y'all. They show you this map, and this map is supposed to depict the 24 hours of Earth orbits with daylight in the northern hemisphere. We start off rough because I'm not a girly in STEM. I don't know what that means necessarily, and I don't know how a spaceship or whatever the hell goes around the Earth. It didn't hit me until probably 50 pages towards the end of the book that this all takes place in 24 hours. We're following 6 different astronauts from, I think, 4 or 5 different countries. 4, because there's 2 that are from the same country. And I don't want to be the person that's like, well, fiction is just sometimes like you're writing about people's feelings and people's thoughts and it just gets boring. I don't feel like that about fiction all the time, but that's low-key what this gave. There was a lot of passages that I was like, damn, these are like really real and raw emotions. But aside from that, it just was a little boring. And I ended up finishing it because I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this. I said I was going to finish it. I would give this 3 out of 5 stars because, again, it was really well written, but. And actually, this was nominated for the Booker Prize last year, which is the same year that James by Percival Everett was nominated for the Booker Prize. And that's in the stack of books I read. And honestly, can I be mean and real for 2 seconds? This should not have won the Booker Prize. It should have been James. That's my opinion. And you know what? You can disagree with it, but that's what I think. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. And it's valid. Okay. Actually, let me take it back. I don't think that Samantha Harvey didn't deserve the Booker Prize. But if I was on that panel of judges, I would have voted for James instead of Orbital. But that's just, again, my opinion. And congratulations, Samantha Harvey. Sorry I said that you don't deserve the. I didn't even say that you didn't deserve the prize. I'm going to watch this back. And if I did say that you didn't deserve the prize, Samantha Harvey, which again, you're never going to watch this. I'm sorry. You deserve the prize because you're a great writer. It's just this book was not for me. And taking accountability for my words, maybe I did say that, but like, it's really mean if I did say that you didn't deserve the award. Watch me watch this back and I didn't even say she didn't deserve it, but I feel like I did. I just wouldn't give it, I wouldn't have voted for Orbital. I would have voted for James. Let's keep moving. This next book I loved so much. Chef's kiss. It is such a good book in my opinion because it just felt like I was reading a gossip column the entire time. And it is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. This was a pick for one of the book clubs I'm in. I actually went to the meeting and I hadn't finished it, but I wanted to know what everyone was talking about. This book takes place in Savannah and it follows the Mercer House murder and the trials that ensued from it. There is a movie that they made from this book, and in the movie there's only one trial, but in reality there was 3 trials, and this follows all of them. I just really enjoyed it because, again, I felt like I was reading a gossip column. The way that people in Savannah are is like they're very like, oh my god, hi, nice to meet you, very hospitable, but you learn through this book that behind that there's a lot of like shadiness and a lot of like crazy things going on. This book also catapulted the tourism in Savannah, and people will still actually go to Savannah just to visit Mercer House. And on top of all this is why I love my book club, because the person that chose this book, Jen, her name is Jen, she invited a person who was alive during the time that the murder actually took place. I think she was a child during that time. She gave us insights on everything that happened. In this book, there are portions that are fictionalized and there are characters whose names aren't shared. But she was telling us, like, oh, this person is real, this person isn't. Like, this person is like this and this person combined. It was crazy. It was so fun to talk about this book. I don't tend to consume true crime content, but this is kind of what I imagine true crime was before YouTube and TikTok, because all of this stuff actually happened. And again, it catapulted the tourism in Savannah. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because it was so good and I really enjoyed it. I already said that I love this book, James by Percival Everett. It was nominated for the Booker Prize. It didn't win. This is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of James, a black slave. I've never read Huckleberry Finn. I know like the plot of it because I think I watched the cartoon about it in elementary school, but that didn't take away from me being able to enjoy this book. Something that I really enjoyed in this book that Percival Everett did was that he talked a lot about code switching. So in the book, James, his family, and other black characters will code switch when they're around white people. They'll dumb down their language because they talk about how white people just can't fathom a black slave being able to speak like they do. Throughout the book, you get a lot of this code switching and a lot of like satire coming from the character James about how white people are so dumb. And during that time, again, they thought that slaves were dumb and that they didn't know what the hell they were doing, when in reality, they knew what was going on and they knew their way around the world, and they just acted dumb because they knew that they had to do it to protect themselves pretty much. It is such a good book. I really personally think that it should have won the Booker Prize. And the thing that pisses me off is that, okay, it didn't win the Booker Prize. It was nominated. It got a lot of attention. It's won other awards. I think it won the National Book Award, and then it finally won the Pulitzer Prize, right? And it's getting the accolades I personally feel it rightfully deserves. But then the New York Times put out an article talking about how it only won because the other books didn't get enough votes. And I guess the way that the Pulitzer Prize judging is structured is if the books that are nominated don't get enough votes and like a certain majority, then the panel can introduce other books that are not currently in the running. And that's what ended up happening with James. However, the reason it pisses me off is because this has probably already happened with other books. It's part of the structure of this voting and the structure that the Pulitzer has always used to choose the book that wins. Why did the New York Times feel like it needed to disclose this information? It kind of feels like they're trying to take away from the win, and it really pissed me off. I was like, we should not be talking about, oh, it won on a technicality or on the structure of the voting. Honestly, I feel like it won because it deserved it, and like we should leave it at that. But that's just me personally. This is a great book, 5 out of 5 stars. Everyone should read it. This should be read instead of Huckleberry Finn, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. And in the stack of books that I ended up buying recently with the gift cards I got for my birthday, I did end up buying Erasure by Percival Everett because I'm really excited to read more of his work. I also read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This woman is amazing. I love everything she's ever written. And I honestly feel like this is going to be the last book she writes for the Hunger Games. She said in the past that she only writes books when she feels like she has something to say for the Hunger Games. She didn't say like that verbatim, but like that's the energy she gave with her words. I really enjoyed this. I always felt like Haymitch had a story that could be told and could contribute to the character he is in the Hunger Games in general. What am I trying to say? Haymitch has always been an interesting character. This just solidifies more of like why he is the way he is in the other books. We already know what happened in Haymitch's games, which walking into this, I was like, what the hell is this woman gonna say? Like, we already know he won. You get more information on the type of president that Snow is and the type of leader and the type of crazy shit he's done to stay in power. I think it's really interesting that in this book we get a glimpse of the capital changing the perception and the opinion that people have on Haymitch because they're able to manipulate the media given the times we're in and how the White House is, changing the narrative on things and they're hiding information from us, or they're telling us one thing and then doing another, or they're detaining people and sending them to El Salvador, and then they're trying to convince us that they're criminals, quote unquote, and that they belong to gangs and that they're dangerous. Yeah, this book is amazing. She really ate. And again, when I started reading it, I was a little perplexed because I was like, I already know what happens in Haymitch's games. He won. Like, what else could this woman say? She said a lot and it was really good. And the ending, I did cry. I did cry and like actually cried. I shed like a couple tears. And I don't typically cry when I'm reading books. And last but not least, but also not one of my favorite reads this year so far, was The Coin by Yazmin Zaher. We read this for my book club, and it was the book I chose. And to my book club, once again, I'm sorry that we didn't enjoy this book as much as I hope we had. I wanted to love this book because I had heard from other people whose content I love consuming that this was a good read. It just wasn't. I'm gonna read you some of the synopsis to save us some time. The Coin's narrator is a wealthy Palestinian woman with impeccable style and meticulous hygiene, and yet the ideal self, the ideal life, remains just out of reach. Her inheritance is inaccessible, her homeland exists only in her memory, and her attempt to thrive in America seems doomed from the start. In New York, she strives to put down roots. She teaches at a school for underprivileged boys, where her eccentric methods cross boundaries. She befriends a homeless swindler, and the two participate in an intercontinental scheme reselling Birkin bags. I thought I was gonna love it because scamming rich people, mwah, love it. Stealing from a company, a corporation, love it. It just left a lot to be desired. And I'm going to be so honest, when I first read it, I wanted to like it because it was my pick for Book of the Month. My bestie, Jakey K Reads, who also has a YouTube channel, I'll link it down below, didn't like this book. And because we split up our months for a book club, this is the second time I choose a book. The year prior, I had chosen Bunny and he also didn't like it. So I'm kind of odd on a mission now to pick a book that he ended up liking and enjoying because I'm 0 for 2 at this point. When he was talking to me about it, I was kind of trying to defend the book, and it just didn't have a lot of defensible characteristics. The narrator in this book is not a likable woman. And I've read other books where the protagonist isn't likable and you can still get past that. You can't really get past that in this book because the reason she's so unlikable is because she crosses so many boundaries. In the synopsis of the book, you heard that she's a teacher, right? She has a dream where she's having sex with one of her students. And then there's nothing that comes out of that. Like, those are the type of boundaries she crosses. When we finally do get to the part where they're scheming and scamming and buying these Birkins to resell them for a higher price, because if you didn't know, it's really hard to get a Birkin. So they're like buying Birkins and then reselling them for more money because there's like a barrier of entry. It doesn't really go anywhere. She has a relationship with a rich man in New York who kind of gave like Big and Carrie from Sex and the City, but worse because she's like so mean to him and it really doesn't go anywhere. She doesn't really get what she deserves until towards the end, but even then I was like, her ending should have been worse. And I just wanted the character development to be better. It just wasn't there. I didn't enjoy the ending. I didn't enjoy the book in general. I wanted it to be better. At the beginning, I like was liking where it was going. There is some great commentary about cleanliness and like societal norms set around wealth and all of that, but like I give it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I told myself that it was 3.5, but honestly, it's honestly a 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend other people read it. Those are the books I read from the end of March to the end of June. And I'm currently working on finishing Giovanni's Room and Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. So hopefully at the end of this month, July, I'll be able to come back and tell you guys that I finished it and tell you what I think about the books. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and tell me in the comments what books you're reading and how your reading goals are going. Thanks for watching.